Okay, let's talk first about the new report the WFP published. In the new report, how do you assess the situation of the famine going on in Afghanistan, and what are your main recommendations?
I presume you're referring to our recent food security report that came out. This is a monthly quick survey, rapid survey that we do across the country. What it is telling us is that the situation continues to deteriorate for people in terms of food security and hunger. And our households are resorting to more what we call negative coping strategies, so going into debt, selling assets to be able to eat. And what we're seeing is that particularly female-headed houses are the hardest impacted.
So the rising prices of food and shortage of the food as well, and also famine is looming across Afghanistan. It raises a lot of concerns for the charity organizations like yours. What do you think, and how do you manage it?
Yeah, well, I mean, the World Food Programme and basically thanks to the great generosity of our donors and the international community, we've been scaling up our operations over the last couple of months. In March, I'm very happy to say we were able to get food assistance out to nearly 14 million people. And we hope to continue scaling up over the next couple of months as we approach the harvest. I mean, this is a very difficult time of year for people, particularly in the rural communities as they wait for the harvest, but also a lot of that harvest is already mortgaged. And then in the urban centres, we're seeing a massive loss of work. So people are really in a very difficult situation.
Many families even selling babies and young baby girls to survive. And also, in your commentary, I read a commentary that you published. It's also about how women impacted or affected with this situation in Afghanistan. So tell me more why the women and girls are more affected.
Yeah, I guess you read the op-ed. Yeah, I mean, I've been out quite a bit across the country, and when I'm out, I make a point to try and talk to the women and girls. And what I'm hearing is, the physical pain of hunger, but also the mental trauma. Many of these women are the breadwinners in their households because many of them are widows. I mean, there's a phenomenal number of widows in Afghanistan. And they're the breadwinners, so they're the ones that are raising the children and need to earn money to put food on the table. And for them, it's incredibly traumatic not to be able to go to work and to earn that living. And really then as well with some of the restrictions that are coming in around women and girls, it's very, very difficult. And we all know that, for a country to exit humanitarian need, for a country to exit poverty, and to achieve prosperity and peace, you need, your girls, your boys, your men and women all need to be equally educated and need to have equal access to work. It's what changed my country. Education changed my country, and access to work changed my country, and it changes every country.
Taliban leadership, which has not been recognized by the international world, has no access to Afghanistan reserve assets. So they say that they cannot feed needy people. Do you think is the only reason that people are really starving?
I mean, the reason, there are multiple drivers for the crisis that the people of Afghanistan are currently experiencing. It was the worst drought in 3 decades. You also have the massive economic crisis that we have seen. As jobs are being lost, prices are going up. You have the fragility from the conflict, and you also have the impact of COVID-19. So all those factors coming together are making it extremely difficult. And now you have the impact of the crisis in the Ukraine that's also driving up food prices.
Yeah, so many Afghans look up to the organizations for food like WFP, and they hope that the violence also decrease because especially during Ramadan, and there was some escalating violence, and on the first day a lot of people killed as well. How this increasing insecurity or violence impact your work, especially in remote areas?
Yeah, I mean, I sincerely hope we don't see an increase in insecurity, because that's one thing that has changed over the last couple of months, we're able to access all areas of the country, and the people suffering hunger are right across the country. So I hope the tenuous calm and peace that we have continues, so that we're able to do our work and so that the humanitarian operations can continue to scale up.
So for the future, how the new aid pledge, which recently happened for Afghanistan, it will impact your work to counter famine and actually address the crisis in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I hope some of that money that was pledged, and really we must appreciate and the tremendous generosity of the international community. I mean, $2.4 billion is a huge amount of money. That's for the entire humanitarian sector. WFP will hope that we will be getting some of those pledges, because, I mean, we still need to feed over 18 million people a month. We need to reach 23 million people before the end of the year. The humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan continues. We're far from out of the woods. So really just to acknowledge and appreciate the incredible generosity of the international community.
Just last question, you see the situation like it's firsthand, and you are aware of crisis, how people are dealing with. How long more people has to suffer like this?
For Afghanistan, really, it's, a couple of things are required to reduce the humanitarian need. Climatic shocks are becoming more frequent. This is the worst drought in 3 decades. It's the second drought in less than 4 years. So we really need to invest in climate adaptation so that communities can be resilient to climatic shocks. And also we need to find solutions to be able to resuscitate the economy. How do we generate market demand, create purchasing power so that the private sector can invest and take those risks so that jobs can come back? And when jobs can come back, income comes back, and people really, can feed themselves. And of course, getting all the population, and particularly all the children, young and old, educated so that they can participate in a meaningful way as well and contribute to the economic development of their country.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.